It's exciting. Apparently I'm live now. May or may not be true. Who knows? Maybe it isn't. All right, let's what, Squeaky? I'm working. My cat's bothering me. Oh, let's do that. Oh, it worked. Wait. Oh, you piece of junk. What a piece of junk. That's why I turned that off. That's why I turned that off. All right, well, I'm gonna go turn that off again. My cat's bothering. Squeaky, we gotta start the stream up at some point here. Gotta stop bothering me, Squeaky. I got work to do, Squeaky. All right, what was I doing? I got distracted. My cat distracted me. Totally gonna. Oh, there we go. That was what I was gonna do. Let's go back in there. Oh, jeez. I have like a bajillion two-factor authentication apps on my phone, and I never know which one I use for which program. I think it's this one. I think that works. There we go. That worked. Turn that off. Disable. Piece of junk. That's been disabled. Beautiful. All right, let's do this. Copy. Here. Oh dear. No. Hold on a second. There, I should put that in there. Beautiful. Ah! All right. More. One more. Better. Beautiful. Excellent. It's very nice. All right, what's going on? All right, let's see who's in the house here. Goliath Cleric, what up? Stephanie, Francisco, Armand, Dan Bayer, what up? Dito, Enma, what's up? Lan, hello. Naomi, what's up? Family. Stream Elements is in the house, thanks. The Stream Elements bot is running. It has confirmed. That's very good. Flying Potato, yo. Lethan, what's up? You're early. Good job. William, Blaze Boy, hello. Fred, what's up, buddy? Curly. Roston Party, yo. Sven, what's up? Kaida. Curly, I already said Curly. Curly, you get twice. You got twice. James, Axel, Anthony, what's up? What's up, guys? How's it going? What's up? Arctic, hello. You need me to change my whole schedule so it works better for yours? Yeah, no problem, dude. You just send me your schedule. I'm all over that, dude. I'll just rearrange. I'm gonna have to quit my job though, so you're gonna have to pay me my full-time salary at my job. Just so you know. No problem though, buddy. Estrogen, what's up? Has Squirty Pie won a fight yet? Squirty Pie was, I feel like she was close to winning a fight one of the times, But that's only because I distracted Squeaky. I did something that got Squeaky's attention, and he looked at me for a brief second, and then Squeaky Pie went in for the kill, and she had a momentary moment of victory. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, your players are gonna pay me? I don't know if that's gonna work. Players usually are the ones that don't want to buy even the books and stuff, dude. I have had a couple players who just refused to buy books, and I'm just like, dude, it's $30. And he was like, information should be free. And I was like, what? What? It's a gaming company. They have to pay their staff, dude. Buy the book, man. I'm like, whatever. My cat's excited. 12 a.m. That's crazy, dude. We are capturing all the questions too, so you throw your questions and we'll get them in the spreadsheet and they will be addressed. And if they're not addressed, then you could come with torches and pitchforks and hunt me down. Which means I'm gonna have lots of people hunting me down. You know what? Don't do that. Let's not do that. That's a bad idea. Okay, what Squeaky? Guys going nuts. What? You want to get up here? You want to jump up here? No, I didn't think so, you big baby. He needs attention. He doesn't want me to talk to you guys. He just wants me to talk to him or something, I guess. I've been hand drawing maps on Roll20. Two of my players said I should just buy the maps. Yeah, they should pitch in to buy the maps. Argentina, bienvenido. Bienvenido al live stream, el mejor live stream del mundo. Aquí tenemos gatos y café. Un gato que me está molestando mucho. Arr. Pura vida. He'll be back in a few. Oh man, your mom job calls? Oh dang. You got to give them a little something so they leave you alone, you know? Well, cool, Coin Slot. I'm looking forward to the Fae book being done so I can give it all to you folks and stop working on it. You can yell at Dan Bayer if questions aren't answered. That sounds like a really good deal. I like that. Thanks, Francisco. My wife is from Central America, so I speak with her in Spanish all the time. And I lived in Central America for 4 years too. Oh, that's a really good point, Scott. Like, when you buy the things yourself, they belong to you, and then your players, because eventually what almost always happens is, you know, players don't stay in the game forever. Eventually they move on, and if they've pitched in for stuff, they might want stuff back, or there might be a thing there. So there are advantages to owning it yourself, you know. But if you can't pay for it and the players don't want to chip in, then that I think is where it's useful to have players chip in. Sparkles the coffee lady. Hey, not only do I have coffee, Sparkles, but I have a camera that points at my coffee. Squeaky, keep biting my leg and see what happens to you. He's just biting my leg now. He's so needy. You're from Costa Rica? Cool. Yeah, where's Penguin Butt said she might not be super available this week for live stream, so we'll see if she shows up or not. In the meantime, it's on Dan. And any other moderators we have. Deceiver shows up a lot too. He's here most of the time. Squeaky, you're gonna get it, Squeaky. I swear. Yeah, he wants my love. He wants my attention. And I picked him up. He wanted attention. He got attention. This isn't what he wanted, though, because he doesn't like being picked up. But he got picked up. Squeaky. You big baby. Jeez. Quit bothering me. He'll be back. Now he's like sitting over there just looking at me. Make sure if you're doing questions, folks, you do the hashtag all caps question mark so it gets in the spreadsheet. Otherwise the questions get lost to the void. Austin Johnson, dude, what's up, man? Thanks for becoming a Wormling member. Appreciate that, dude. All right, let's get this show on the road. Spammers die. That's right. It looks like Dan Bayer he's got the mega wrench. So, and he's almost as ruthless as Penguin Butt, and he's not as nice. Like Penguin Butt's always like, please don't spam, heart, heart, heart. Dan is just like, bam, bam, bam. I like both approaches. I'll be honest. I like both approaches. The one is all like sweet and then, you know, whack. And the other one's just straight up brutal. You know, it's pretty cool. Both are good. Oh yeah. What's up, Subcycle? All right, here we go. That beautiful banner going. I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight on the program, we're just doing Q&A for an hour or two. We'll see how it goes. Just, you know, throw your questions out there. Hashtag all caps question mark so we catch them. And I'll be answering your D&D questions to the best of my ability. He's back. My cat is back and he's biting my leg again. I crap you not. This guy's nuts. He's gonna get it. And mommy is just sitting here being nice. He's just sitting there waiting patiently. So question and answer, and then at about the hour mark or the 2 hour mark, we're gonna see kind of how it goes tonight. We're gonna head over to my Twitch channel, and over on Twitch, we are going to create some traps tonight. And the way I do all of the things that I create on my streams, folks, is we create it together, and then I publish what we create out to my site, thedmlair.com, where folks can get all of the information for free for use in their games. So that is the dealio. We do this every single week. We create stuff for the D&D community to use for free. So that's what we do around here. That's most of the explanation of what we're doing tonight. Before we jump in, I want to go to my awesome little shout out screen here and thank all of my awesome patrons, members, and subs, Twitch subs, who help support all the content I make. In particular, I want to shout out the names in red. We're going to order tonight. Baobon, Candy Sora, Clammed Oyster, DM Silver, Drake H, Elisa Goose, Elrin, Float 71, Goliath Cleric, Iron Lord 79, John Kenny, Joe M, Joseph H, Kurt Y, Lord Humongous, Meepy670, Mr. T, Nathan, Penguin Butt, Rainier the Conqueror, Shane C, Sophia W, Son of a Sofa Man, Tactical Tokens, Theta Tag, and Yokai. All right, thanks, folks. Really appreciate that. Appreciate the support. And let's do some questions then. It's questions time. I want to add something new to my dungeon, so it's not just fighting and exploring like puzzles or something like that. Okay, do it. It'll make it more fun. Wasn't really a question, but I agree. It's a good direction to go. Any newer funny D&D stories? I am not. I don't know. That's always my answer. I don't know. I'm not like, I can't just spin off D&D stories. Just, you have to give me context. I need context. I need specific context, or I can't do it. I'm always copping out of those. Can't do them. I'm running a one shot for my kid's birthday. Any good ideas? Google search. I'm such a cop out. No. I'm not very good at, like, I don't like crowdsourcing. I don't like solving those sorts of problems. You know, my recommendation to you is to go to the monster manual, one of the monster books, look through it, find some creatures that you think your kids will have fun with, and then create an adventure around them. That is the process. That's what I would suggest doing. I don't like solving specific problems like that. I like giving people the process and how they would go about doing it themselves, so that in the future they can, like, you know, replicate it and do it again. Otherwise, if you don't actually want to design the adventure yourself, you're doing a Google search for D&D for kids and then see what you come up with. Will the End of the Fae book be available after the Kickstarter? Well, the Kickstarter is done, and yes, it is available. Like, let me just show you here. So this is the Kickstarter page, link below. Thank you, moderators. And you can pre-order it with this button right here if you want. And once fulfillment is done, like next year for this as well, it will also be available. So yes, it will be available. However, I will say this, like right now, so as part of the Kickstarter, you got some special benefits and really good pricing to help support the project. As part of the pre-order, you get sort of the same deal, some special pricing. But once fulfillment is done and we just simply start selling the books, then the pricing is not going to be the same. So if you want the lower special pricing or whatever, now's the time to do it. I'm not just saying that to sell books and all that kind of horse crap, because I think that stuff is stupid. I'm literally telling you that right now you can get the hardcover for $40, and it's not always going to be like that. Okay, eventually it's going to go up to like an, what do they call it, MSRSP or some bull crap or something. It's not always going to be that much. So if you really want it, now's the time to do it. But if you want to wait until it's actually you can get it immediately, then wait. You know, you'll pay a little bit more, but you know, maybe you feel better doing it that way, and that's cool. Where'd my sheet go? What do you think are the most interesting types of traps to put in combat versus during exploration? The types of traps that I would usually place in a combat encounter, I don't do this a whole lot, but when I have done it, there are traps that are impediments. It might be a pit. They might be a pit with a lid that shuts over the player, and then they're stuck down in there, possibly with another monster, maybe by themselves, but it splits that player off from the rest of them. Or certain, even once they're in, for instance, the pit thing, once they're in a room that has, let's say the room has multiple pit traps in it, and they walk into the room, they don't hit any of the pits, and then monsters attack. The very first time they fall into a pit, they're going to be like, oh crap, there are pits in this room, we don't know where. So we have to be careful not to step in the wrong square, and that makes the entire combat that much more like intense, because they're just like, dude, we got to be careful where we step, we're getting attacked. I had this entire I had a meteor basically that was a beholder's lair, and throughout this meteor there were a bunch of little beholderkin and things like that, but I also had lots of traps throughout this lair. Because beholders can float, basically, all the traps were mostly sprung by like stepping on the ground and stuff. So you'd have some beholderkin, 3 of them or something, that would ambush a party, and there would be pits all over the ground. The beholderkin can float; they don't care, you know. But the players are like falling in pits and stuff while they're being attacked by beholderkin. I don't know exactly which ones I was using for that encounter. This was like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago or so. And then there was another chamber also, where there was a massive chamber that they had to go through, and there were traps all over the place, and they had to constantly be checking for traps and stuff. And also, at the very top of the chamber, there was a tunnel that the beholder could fly down, observe the players walking through the trapped area. There was an illusion in front of it, and there was some mechanism. The beholder basically was shooting eye rays down at them while they were going through this trapped room. My players freaked out because they're like in a trapped room. They can't be careful where they walk, and they're getting fired on by this beholder who they couldn't effectively fight. And what did they do? I think they ended up using that bottle that causes endless fog. I forget the name of it. Somebody in chat can tell me what the name of that bottle is. You basically uncork it and fog just keeps coming out. Ever Smoking Bottle, I think, is the name of it. They uncorked it, just filled the whole room with smoke, so that the beholder couldn't see them and couldn't target them. And then they had to go through the room almost blind. I think they were using some sort of wind spell or fan or something. They were doing something to clear the fog away briefly, you know, but that's how they got through that room. Otherwise, they were just going to be like sitting ducks with this beholder shooting at them. So those are a couple examples of traps that I have done in the past, that are in the middle of like a fight kind of too. And that's also an example of like, I need context to tell a story. Watu Sao. Thank you, sir, for becoming a Wormly member. I really appreciate that, man. Support the channel. Good stuff. I had a super chat. Holy crap, I missed a super chat. I wonder if anybody was yelling at me. Hey, Deceiver, what's up, dude? Lewis says, hello, I'm doing my second session in a week, but most of my players want to start where we left off, but one wants to make a new character. Should I let them? The second session? For the second session? Why do they want to make a new character? Like, what's the deal? It really depends on why they want to make a new character and how frequently you think they're going to be making a new character. Here's the thing. Here's something to be very careful of. There are some players out there, bless their beautiful hearts, that want to make a new character every single game session, and you really got to nip that in the bud quickly. Like some players literally are just patrolling Reddit and Facebook, just looking for combo builds. They're theory crafters. They just want to theory craft stuff, and they will literally, crap you not, come to you every single game session and be like, dude, I want to change my character. Dude, I want to change my character. Dude, I want to change my character. Because they're constantly coming up with new things they want to try at the game table. And you gotta kill that fast. Otherwise, every single game session, you got a new character to review, make sure they didn't mess something up, you know, and then learn how the things work, and then introduce it to the group as quickly as possible. You know, have some mechanism by which the group cooperates and gets along, and some mechanism by the new character can learn what's going on. And it's just, it can turn into a hot, sloppy mess and a big pain in the butt when you have players that are doing that. So if that's what's going on, and I don't know, I'm just theorizing here. If that's what's going on, you got to kill that quick and be like, dude, no, this is not happening. Now, if you feel like that's not the case, then it's just a legitimate, like, dude, I rolled up a bard and this is not fun. I really want to do a barbarian, and you think it's the only time it's going to happen. Okay, sure. I have no problem my players changing their characters. I don't have a problem with that at all. Like, no problem. Just do it. Boom, boom. We're done. As long as I have a feeling that, like, if they've been playing in my game for, like, you know, several sessions, like, let's say they've been playing for half a year, and they're like, Luke, you know, I'm not having a whole lot of fun with this character. I really want to change it out. I don't have a problem with that at all. But I have my eye for those player types that just want to change. They just want to change their character every game session. I had a player like that once, and I had to literally put a limit. I was like, dude, this is not happening. I was like, you're not. This is the rule. You're not changing your character every game session. But no, it's just, that's the way it is. So I don't know which way you got going on there, man, but there's some food for thought. I had a real sucky day on Reddit today. Fire Knight! Let me solve all your problems. Stop going on Reddit. You will probably be a happier, less anxious, less stressed out individual if you just abandon Reddit altogether. I used to do stuff on Reddit. I used to try to participate in Reddit and stuff. That community was just so noxious and toxic, full of gatekeepers who really just wanted to, that had tons of karma, that really just wanted to beat anybody down. So quick to point out, just so nasty, you know? The day that I was like, screw this crap, I'm never coming back, the alleviation, how good I felt of never going back, I cannot tell you. It was the best. It was one of the best decisions I've made. It's not going back to Reddit, man. Dude, I don't want anything to do with that crap. Well, I can tell you, I was in most of the D&D subreddit. Well, I don't want to say most, but I was in several of the D&D subreddits, and yeah, it didn't work very well for me. I don't know if it was gatekeeping. I don't know if it's just people that are in the, you know, they're just like, they're in their basements and on Reddit 12 hours a day, and like they have tons of karma, and like that's their life, that's their identity, that's what makes them feel important, and they just sit there and they're just like, oh, you're a moron, and I have an hour to type up a post explaining why you're a moron and why these are all the flaws in your argument and why you're doing everything wrong. It's like, dude, okay, all right, I'm busy, got stuff I gotta do, but you just type that out, man. I don't know. How would you run an evil doll Annabelle type monster? I would probably find a stat block of a construct, like a flesh golem, and that would be the stat block. And I don't even know. Annabelle sounds like a horror movie reference that I don't know, that I've never watched. In part because I don't watch horror movies. I don't like them. Also in part because I just don't watch a lot of movies because I don't have time to watch movies. So that's probably, I would grab a stat block and try to make it creepy and horrible. How do you create a town for your players? Dude, I'm Dark Mile. I'm literally right now working on creating the town, the main town for my Into the Fae Kickstarter, where that serves as the hub where everything happens. So like I am like face deep into creating that town right now. And so the very first thing that I started to do, I started to research what are the necessary buildings, services, and things like that in a medieval town. Like what are the different things you're going to have? And then I was like, okay, this is going to be a lumbering town. So what are the different things, buildings, services, and stuff you might have in a lumbering town? And so I started to do a Google search and try to get that information. And I was like, okay, these are the different buildings and things and services. Okay, great. Then I put them in a spreadsheet, and then I was like, okay, I need names for all these. And then I started making names for all of these. And then I'm like, okay, I need a proprietor. I need like a chief NPC contact for all of these. Spreadsheet, boom, I had that. And then I put any notes that I might have. So that was the start. That was the spreadsheet, okay, of all the different buildings and different things that I knew would need to be in the town. And then I went over to just a piece of blank paper and I drew a map of the town. I'm like, I know there's a river, I know there's a main road, there's a bridge that goes over it. And then I'm going to start making different districts, wards in the city, and drawing out the different buildings that are going to be there. So I mapped it. After the mapping was done, then I decided, which buildings were going to correspond to which things on the map. I was kind of doing that as I was drawing the map, just to make sure I had everything as I wanted it. The next step was fleshing out descriptions of all the different things in the city, deciding, are there guards? How many guards are there? What kind of armor do they wear? What are their patrol routes? Is there a palisade wall? There is. Okay, there are gates. Excellent. Who's the ruler? What's his name? Is he he's just a lord? That's great. Is there a business administration building? Are there clerks? Great. There's a chief of staff. Awesome. There's a captain of the guard. Great. What's her name? They're going to want to know this stuff. What's her description? Like this is the rabbit hole that you go down, and then you go to each individual building and service and you're like, okay, I need to have a description of kind of what's here. I need to know what services are available. I need to know what they're selling. I need to know if the prices correspond to the player handbook or not. All right. So this is like, I'm almost got 20 pages into this. Like, it's just like tons and tons of information, because these are the types of things like, somebody's going to want to know about a town. We got a cat fight going on. Hold on. You got a cat fight. Now, that's what I'm doing for the town that's going to be in my like published module, which is probably a little bit different and by necessity far more detailed than perhaps what you need to do. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest that you do all of that work and have that all written down. But what I'm saying is that those are things that you can consider, In all honesty, you probably could stop at the spreadsheet and the map and improvise the rest, and you'd be perfectly fine. Because that didn't take that long. That didn't take a whole ton of time. You probably got about 4 or 5 hours sunk into that. It's the writing out all the descriptions and details that takes the big chunk of time. Yeah, well, they all stopped. They stopped fighting now. Well, they might start back up. Who knows? It's like they got interrupted. They didn't actually finish it out. Chase says, and after all that, your PC kill and burn everything. Could be, which is why for my D&D games, I don't create towns. I use pre-existing material for my own personal D&D games. I don't do world building. I don't do world building. I'm gonna get a question about like, Luke, a question about world building, and I'm gonna be like, dude, I don't do world building. They're looking at each other again like they're gonna fight. There she goes. Oh man, I missed it. Oh, that's the wrong one. We missed it. Oh. Jewel Boy says, what's the best way to handle charisma checks? Roles before role play or role play before roles? There isn't really any good advice I found for DMs or players out there. We're gonna, okay, yeah. So dude, I always do the role playing first. Always. This is part of playing the game. Like, my players almost always will talk to the NPCs first in character, trying to convince them of something or other, or trying to deceive them. They'll always do that first. Almost always. I have one player who doesn't, but almost always they'll just talk in character first, trying to do the thing that they want to do. And then when I feel that either I'll interact with them back and forth with the NPC they're talking to as well. And we'll play out that little scene, that little exchange of conversation. And now they're not going to fight again. They know the camera's on them. It's like they wait until the camera's off and then they try to fight. Well, it's kind of off, but not really. Once that little scene has kind of played itself out mostly, or I feel that it's gone on long enough, because I don't want to have that scene take like an hour. You know what I mean? It might take about 5 minutes or so. Okay. At that point, I'll ask them to make their roll, make a deception check, make a persuasion check. And if they had a pretty convincing line of thought or a good argument or something, then I'll give them advantage on it. If it was poorly executed, or the NPC is very suspicious, then I might give them disadvantage. But I very rarely give them disadvantage, almost never. It's either a straight roll or advantage. They got to really do something really bad for me to give them disadvantage on it. Sometimes they do. I do have one player who isn't as comfortable talking in character, and so what he'll usually do is just say, hey, I want to make a roll to see if I can convince the guard of X thing. And I'm fine with that too. I mean, I'm not going to force him to talk in character and do something he's not comfortable with it, or he just doesn't enjoy doing it. It doesn't really matter. But most of my players will talk it through first, and then we'll do a roll. But for him, he usually just tells me what he wants to do, and I let him roll for it. You know. My preference is that we role play the situation first. That's my preference. I don't force people to do it if they don't want to. Would you use World of Warcraft for a gaming session? I don't even know what that means. I can't play D&D while we're playing World of Warcraft. I don't know what that means. How often do you give your players more magic items in the module list? The module? Okay, dude. So this is one of the things that does frustrate me about modules. And I'm not like blaming the designers necessarily or anything, but like I don't know if a module, it's hard to tell if a module contains the average amount of treasure that you're supposed to get, or a sub amount of treasure, and how much you should give to them. So generally, and here's the other thing, I don't run tons of modules. I've run a little bit of Prince of the Apocalypse before we were like, and moved on to homebrew again. I mostly do homebrew. And then right now I'm running Curse of Strahd. So I don't run a ton of modules, in all honesty. I do cherry pick adventures from modules and run them. But I don't usually run just an entire module together. I mostly am just cherry picking different things for a couple of my group, for one of my groups, I should say. What was the question? Magic items. I tend to play it by gut, I would say. Like if it feels like they're not getting enough magic items, I'll give them a few more or something. If I feel, I also like, sometimes I like to just drop magic items that like maybe the party will have no use for, and I know they're going to want to get rid of them or won't use them. Other times I like to make sure that I put a magic item there that somebody in the party will find value in. The other thing that I like to do too is I keep an idea of like which of my players have which magic items, because sometimes, you know, you're going to have one player who's kind of getting the shaft and not getting, there aren't many magic items dropping that person can use. And when I see that there's one dude who's not getting the love, then I'll specifically place a magic item that I know that person would want to use. And I usually make a note that magic item is for that player's character. And then when it drops in game, I sometimes will just pure metagame and be like, you guys, This item is intended for John because he doesn't have anything. So I really kind of put this here for him because he's getting the shaft. I don't have a problem doing that from time to time when I feel it's necessary, you know. Ooh, Dan is moderating. Nice. What's up, Iron Lord? Adventures League spoiled you for magic items? What does that mean? You didn't have enough? Adventures League doesn't give you enough? What's up, Dragon Spawn? How you doing? They were doing D&D on World of Warcraft. I don't even know how you do that. I would have to see that in action to even have an inkling of what the heck that even means. I've placed a couple cursed magic items in my game, Fire Knight, and like players usually are just like, this sucks, let's go sell it. They never use them. So I'm kind of like, well, it's like the positive benefits of it are good, but they just don't, I don't know. They've just kind of like, wait, she's attacking the box? You're gonna fight the box? Is that what's going on here? Squirty Pie, you gonna fight the box? Or is she falling in love with it? I can't tell. It's like, sometimes she's rubbing against it and likes it. Other times she's like, I'm gonna attack it. Squirty Pie, what are you doing? Squeaky's just sitting here staring at me. He's literally sitting here staring at me. Squeaky. Do you think we can get all 7 cats again like Wednesday? Oh, that was really cool. Yeah. I don't know. That's very rare that we can get all 7 cats. Like most of the time, little girl almost never wants to come on camera. So she's the one that a lot of times you can't get. And sometimes Orange is just so dumb. He'll sit over there and just watch, like he's like, everybody's eating their cat snacks and he's like he's over there right now licking his belly. Do you have any good Halloween ideas? Nope, I sure don't. I don't brainstorm ideas on stream. I just don't. It's not what I do. I can tell you how to make adventures. I can tell you how to come up with ideas for adventures. I'm out of coffee. Isn't one of the reasons why Wizards of the Coast doesn't make more high-level modules that factoring in certain high-level spells or items can make designing encounters a hassle? Many or some end up being trivial. Axel, what you're saying is correct. What you're saying is totally correct. That the higher level you get, depending on the spells you have, depending on the magic items you have access to, yes, I know that I've run a couple campaigns up into the higher levels, and there was definitely a difference between the two groups, and I had to one group I could just throw crap at, and they're just like, meh, 4 times deadly, you're dead, you know. And the other group wasn't that powerful. They weren't that powerful. They could still hold their own, but I couldn't just throw crazy crap at them like I did the other group. So I do think that probably for the most part, when you're lower level, your power is kind of similar among different groups. You know, you can still always like min-max and make powerful characters, but yes, I do believe that depending upon your builds, depending upon the magic items you get, depending on how good you are as a player, you know, all of those are just factors that start to have groups diverge, you know, as they get higher in levels. And so, yeah, I definitely would say that designing an adventure for higher levels would be more challenging. I would agree with that. Is that the reason they don't make higher level modules? I don't know that that's the reason. I honestly believe that the main reason that Wizards doesn't make higher level modules is 100% has to do with sales. They know that the majority of people play the game in the lower levels. They know that the majority of D&D groups play for a little bit and then break up and they don't play again, and they'll start again at level 1, and they'll play for a few months and they break up and it doesn't work, and then they start again. They probably have done research to know that like 80% of players sit in like the levels 1 to 10 range. They've done research, they know. And so they're like, look at, you know, if we want to make the most money possible for the effort we put into it, then it's the wisest, best business decision for us to target that demographic of players who sit in the 1 to 10 level range. Yeah, are there 20% of people who go outside that range? Yeah, there are, you know, but it costs us just as much money to make a book for low levels as it does to make a book for high levels. And so this is one of the business decisions I think they have to make. So occasionally you get a book like Dungeons and Mad Mage, which is a very good module, by the way, that is catered toward higher level groups. But most of the modules are going to go from levels 1 to 10, maybe a little bit after that. But most of the time they're going to sit in that range. And I think that I feel that that's probably one of the big reasons. I think it's sales driven. That's my opinion. I have no proof. It's just one man's thoughts on it. The coffee cup is still empty. I'm still gonna try though. I'm still gonna try. I should get more coffee. You know the solution here? The solution here is to leave you with my cat while I get coffee. I'll be right back. That looks better. Squeaky's just gonna sit here all day. You hit an ad because I hit the ad button, dude. I took a quick break, so I hit the ad button. So that's why you got an ad, man. This is not a mystery. Not for me. And now you know too. You have no willpower, Mike? What are ads? I haven't seen ads in so long. Goliath Cleric, that's because you're a member. Or because you have YouTube Red, or whatever they call it these days. What's up, Alf Zeppo? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Yes, Flying Potato. We have coffee once again. It's beautiful. Watusao says, I generally play stuff levels 1 to 14. Once you get that final subclass skill, it's pretty much the end and I'm wrapping stuff up in the next level or two. Oh, interesting. So you feel like the gameplay becomes less interesting once you get that next level, or that big thing that at your level? Well, there's one at 17 you get too. You get one at 17. That for some classes is very, very nice. Yeah, Scott, Paizo, yeah, they do their full adventure pass 1 to 20. It's sold in sections. And I guarantee you that Paizo, my guess would be that the books at the lower levels, they have much higher sales than the books at the higher levels. And the thing is that it still costs them just as much capital, just as much investment, employee time, resources, etc., to make those higher level books, and the sales are lower, you know. Which is yeah, it's a business thing to consider, you know. Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good thing. It's definitely a good thing to have those levels there. All I'm saying is I think that's why you don't see a whole lot of them for D&D. You can't seem to find any ways to get a tadpole out of your players? Your players have tadpoles in them? Well, if they swallowed them, I think they probably would just digest them like normal. I don't know why your players are swallowing tadpoles though. That's a little weird, dude. That's hilarious. It sounds like someone might need a surgeon. Maybe, yeah. I think many people buy the modules and never play them anyway. Black Rabbit? Yeah, I'm one of those people. Like, I have almost all of the modules. There are some of the early ones I don't have, and they all just sit here, and most of them don't get played ever. They just kind of sit there because I just buy them, you know? Hey, thanks a lot, Elf Zeppo. I appreciate that, buddy. You too, dude. You have a good one. Can I call you Taverns and Dragons? I've heard of Baldur's Gate 3 game. What are my thoughts on it? My primary thought is I'll probably never get to play it or any other game because I'm too busy working. That's my thought. You rip off ideas for your Eberron campaign from adventure books? Yeah, that's primarily what I do. Like, do I rip off? I don't know that I rip off ideas from them. I just will take entire adventures and just be like, boop. Look, what I do for what I do for my youngling group, literally, is right now I think they're level 9. So they're going. Oh, I think they just leveled up to 10 actually. So they took level 10. So literally what I do is I go to the different adventure modules. I find 3 level 10 quests and I tell them, hey guys, which quests do you want to do? I customize the plot hook a little bit, you know, to make it entice them more. But essentially, whichever one they pick, they go run that adventure from that module. They're running an Acquisitions Incorporated sort of game. So they basically just take contracts. Whatever contracts are up, they'll just take one and they'll go do it, you know. They're actually now going, the contract they're on right now, or the quest they're going to do right now is to go kill Strahd. They're level 10 and they just accepted a mission to go kill Strahd. So they're going to go to his castle and kill him. So yeah, that'll be fun. I think I have Curse of Strahd and I've read the chapter on his castle. I am not sure if I actually want to run the castle out of Curse of Strahd, like as it's written in the module, or if I just want to find a map and just make my own castle, because it will actually be far easier for me to just find an existing map of a castle and make some notes on it, throw a few encounters in there, and then improvise the whole thing. That would be far easier and be much less prep time for me, and easier for me to run in the game, honestly, than to run Curse of Strahd's Castle Ravenloft, you know. So that's the question I'm currently contemplating. I have like a month to think about it. I don't know where I'm gonna land on that. Hit or miss. Live kobold chess against a dragon to prove their battle strategy. The party interrupts the dragon's mid-game with itself, and all kobolds are dress-up chess pieces. I don't know what the question is. When you are preparing for a session from a module, do you fill out a template like you do for your homebrew adventures? No, I don't. I did a couple times. And then I was like, Luke, you're a moron. And I stopped doing that. Or do you only have the module in front of you when running the session? Okay, let me show you. Let me show you what I do. I just gotta find it. So, literally, what I do is, let me go to the desktop here. That's not the right one. I print out the pages from the module. I make copies of them. And then I go through and I read and I highlight stuff. I highlight important information so that I can find things quickly during the game. Not everything is highlighted. Some parts are highlighted more than others, so it really just depends. This is my prep when I run a module. I'll do this sort of thing. I'll also take notes. I'll also take some notes about important plot items that I want to hit on and stuff like that. But that's my prep for running a module. Is print it out, make copies of it, highlight it, make notes and stuff, and then run it. I do have the module itself nearby if I need it, but I rarely open up the module. Most of the time I'm looking at my printed off notes. That's kind of what I do. Oh, you just highlight the book? Oh, I can't highlight books. I can't highlight books. Well, I have some books that I do highlight in, like cheap books that cost like $7 or something, you know. But there's no way I'm highlighting up a book that cost me $50 because I buy the alternate covers whenever they're available, so they're always $50. There's no way I'm highlighting that up. I'm like, this is like, it's gonna sit on my shelf. It's gonna look pretty. It's gonna be beautiful on the inside. I'm making copies to highlight. Big brain, yeah. It's not too much work either to just make copies of it. I have like a, you know, one of those multi-purpose printers that does scanning and copying and all that kind of stuff. So it's not too hard. What do you think of retiring a PC because the character arc from them is complete? Is that the only reason they were playing the game? Was to complete their character arc? They have no reason to go on the adventure besides their character arc? That seems alien to me. That concept seems alien to me. Like, for me, the way I run my games, at least, and other people's games differ from mine, and that's fine. But the primary, the PC has a reason to go on adventures in the world, you know, that may or may not have, that a lot of times don't have anything to do with their backstory or their personal character arc, you know. If there is a character arc, if that's happening, that's something that's done on the side, maybe through downtime, maybe the whole group goes on some adventures or something, which is how I tend to do it. But finishing up a character arc and then retiring a character, like, that seems alien to me. I mean, I guess I could understand why someone would do that, but that seems really weird. It seems really weird to me. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I wouldn't do that as a player. That's for sure. What? My cat's grouching at me. I got like a whole bunch of cats lined up here too. Little guy, come here. He's over there. He rolls over there. I'm not walking over there, little guy. I'm not going all the way over there to rub your belly. You should have come over here where I was. He wants me to go over there and rub his belly. No, I told you. Pig Current says, thank you for your videos. I've been getting a lot of thought and progress in making a good D&D game out of your videos. Hope to see more in-depth videos of small details I can miss. Hey, no problem, dude. I'm happy to help. Yeah, there's always more details. Are always more videos. Xanathar's Guide is overpriced. I wouldn't argue that. I wouldn't argue that too hard, Flying Potato. There aren't a whole lot of things as a Dungeon Master I use from Xanathar's Guide to everything. But it's a whole lot better than Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, I can tell you that. How many cats can you have legally? Well, I don't know if there's a legal limit on cats, but you have to like take care of them and care for them and stuff. Because there are like people that live out in the country, a lot of times will have barn cats, dude, and like have many of those things as you want, dude. Who's your favorite character to play as in the skits? The Barbarian. Absolutely the Barbarian. I love doing the Barbarian. He's so much fun. And I don't like putting all the face paint on. The face paint doesn't take too long. It's not that hard. It's like paint your hand, face palm, clean the hand off, and then paint in the details. It's kind of a pain in the butt. The thing is that filming the skits for 1 month's worth of videos takes me about 6 hours. to put up all the equipment and then film all the individual characters going around the table and then take down all of the equipment. It's about 6 hours. So it's a full day's work basically to film. It's a full day's work after I've already worked from like 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. Then I do all of that, which usually takes me to about midnight. So the thing is that like the Barbarian is the second to last character who gets filmed. So by the time I get to the Barbarian, I am tired of filming skit videos. But so like putting the face paint on when you're like, it's 10 o'clock and you want to go to bed, probably 9 o'clock and you want to go to bed, and you've been working all day long. And here's the other thing, doing the skits and even the talking head videos, they're draining because you're acting to a certain extent, and you can say that, well, you suck as an actor and that's just pathetic. That's fine. But the point is, it takes a lot of effort and enthusiasm to read those lines and deliver those things over and over and over again, all the way around the table. So let's pretend it's an hour of setup and teardown each. So it's about 4 hours of recording the skits, like actual filming time on camera. When you're doing that much, like, we'll just call it acting for the purpose of this discussion. When you're doing that much acting and putting forth the effort of doing that, the expressions, the mannerisms, the voices and stuff, when you're doing all that stuff for that long, you get tired. It's draining on you, so putting the paint on is a pain in the butt, because by the time it's time to put the paint on, I'm like, I want to go to bed, but I still love doing the Barbarian. The Barbarian's tons of fun. Sleep in the face paint. Here's a when I first started doing the druid who has Fat Cat, he had face paint on, but I think it was as of this week, I don't know if anybody even noticed, the druid no longer has face paint. Like, he no longer has the green face paint. I stopped doing his face paint because I was tired of doing both the Barbarian's face paint, and then when I do the druid, I got to put face paint on again because his face paint was green. So this last week's video, there was no face paint on the druid, and I bet most people, did you notice? Just out of curiosity, who noticed and who didn't? If you noticed, just write I noticed, and if you didn't, say I didn't notice. That was, yeah, I'm a genius. I'm just curious who noticed and who doesn't notice, who didn't notice. Who didn't notice too? Did not notice? Okay. Nope. Okay, sweet. It almost feels like about 50-50. Half the people noticed, half the people didn't notice. Oh, you noticed it was off, but you couldn't figure out why. It was like the find Waldo. You're like, something seems, yeah. That's cool. Sweet. Yeah, I didn't care either. I was like, you know what? This is a little bit like discontinuity or something, but I'm tired of putting this face paint on. I am tired. I want to go to bed. I'm not putting it on. Like, I was like half striking, it's like, I'll record the druid's lines, but I'm not putting the face paint on. And the director was like, okay, dude, let's just do this. I'm the director. All right. Any tips on what to do with players that are just clueless? Never know what to do next or stuff to do in a game? Is the whole group clueless? Like, if you really only need one person. There needs to be like one player who can lead the group and suggest things to do. And if everybody else just goes along with them, then you're fine. Like, for instance, for a while, I felt like in one of my games, there were 4 players in it, and 2 of them never had any suggestions. They just never wanted to suggest anything. And then the other 2, especially one of them, always had something to do, a suggestion for what to do next. And it didn't matter if the other 2 had no ideas, because as long as one person is suggesting something, then the group can go forward. But if you have if all 4 players are sitting there like lumps and have no idea what to do, I would go 2 ways with this. So if they're new players, then they probably need some training wheels first. The dungeon master probably needs to give them suggestions. if they're just learning the game, if they're brand spanking new, then it's reasonable that they just don't know what to do. They don't know how the game works. They don't, you could say, okay, you lay out the situation, and then you could say, okay, guys, usually I wouldn't do something like this because I want you guys to think about this and come up with this on your own. But given the situation, here are some ideas for different things you might do. And then you just give them some suggestions, and they might go with one of them. And those are the training wheels. And the game can go along for a little bit. But at some point, you got to pull those training wheels. At some point, you need to be able to lay out the situation. They need to be able to think, be creative, and decide what they're going to do in light of whatever situation it is you described. At that point, though, once they know, they get a feel for it, or they should have a feel for it, if they still are just lumps and they don't want to do anything, I almost feel like they're playing the wrong game. Like, if that's too hard to make, to like just be like, okay, there's a dragon, he's burning down the town, what do you want to do? And everybody just stands around. I feel like they're probably playing the wrong game. You know, if they're not like, I rush in, or I run away, or I try to talk to the dragon. If they don't have simple stuff like that, they can just go with, they're probably playing the wrong game, and they probably need to play something else. That'd be my guess. But training wheels first to help them out. Your characters unintentionally started talking in your NPC's accents. Oh, that's funny, dude. It was a literal self-protest, yeah. The fat calf stuffed animal. If a party is clueless, like everyone is clueless, you are doing it wrong. I don't think that's necessarily true, but there might be a sliver of truth there. If the players have no idea what they're supposed to do, it is entirely possible that the dungeon master hasn't given them enough information for them to even be able to make a decision. You know, like if you're just like, okay, you guys, you're all in this town, what do you want to do? And you haven't given them any plot hooks, any interesting stuff to do. What's the expectation? They're just gonna wander around. They're just gonna go find trouble. I could imagine that situation where the dungeon master doesn't give them enough stuff and just expects them to just, I don't know, make up their own stuff or something. I don't know. So I could see that side of the pendulum as well. Yeah, that's a possibility. You like the music today? Cool. I don't even know what's on. I can't hear the music. I'd have to wear headphones for that, and I don't like wearing headphones. Is Fat Cat available in the merch store? If not, why not? No. It was a cat that I just found in my basement. Like, I wanted a prop. I wanted a prop for the druid character, and I just was like, what am I going to use? And then this cat, my wife got this cat. We've had that fat cat for like years, and it's just been in my basement, and well, at least it has recently. And then I saw it and I was like, oh, that's my prop right there, fat cat. Face paint talk became depressing. Why was that depressing? Need a fat cat shirt. We are in the middle of getting, literally, we are in the middle right now of getting art commissioned. We've already commissioned the artist to create not fat cats, but well, they are kind of fat, to create artwork, cartoonish style artwork of my cats. And once that's done, we're gonna definitely have some stickers where you can just get little dumb stickers, you know, of my cats. And then I can easily put that on t-shirts and crap like that. And I think I have one of the pictures, one of the photos is of Orange sitting like a, you know, with his big belly exposed and then licking his belly. Well, actually he's looking up like with this like dumb look on his face. So I have some ideas for like merch crap that I could do, but we're getting that artwork commissioned right now. It's got to be getting close to getting done. I gotta ask Penguin about that because we paid that dude a few weeks ago, to do that art for us. So it's got to be getting close. Yeah, we're gonna have cat merch. We will have cat merch very soon. Yeah, all the merch I have right now is just my t-shirt, like my logo. It's all my logo, and you know, not everybody wants to walk around wearing somebody's logo. So I'm like, I gotta get some other merch. And the cats was like, oh, this is perfect. Just throw some cats on t-shirts. Oh, Penguin Butt's got some busy stuff going on. She's got stuff going on, you know. So so Dan, we got Dan. Tactile Tokens looks like he's here. I saw Deceiver earlier. So she's got work. Oh yeah, she's got stuff she's got to work on me. It was due too. Munchgum says, I'm finding my players are easily handling even deadly encounters. I don't want them to get too bored. Should I stack the fights more against them or find more unique encounters? Advice. Yeah. You make the encounters more difficult for them. Not all of them, but some of them, yeah. This is what happens, dude. Like, you know, eventually you can follow the CR system, but eventually you're going to find that either your players are more powerful and you need to up things a little bit, or they're not quite that powerful and you need to maybe make things a little easier. Like I literally have one group right now that struggles with encounters on a routine basis. And I throw stuff at them that I would throw at other groups, and my other groups would have no problems. And these guys tend to have trouble with these encounters. And so I'm starting to have to say, okay, everything's going to be basically medium or below. Like I throw hard stuff and deadly stuff at them, and it's a struggle bus. So it's a normal thing for a D&D group for you to kind of feel your stride and learn the group and then adjust things corresponding to the group. Goliath Cleric says, Luke, I have a question about world. Of course you do. Why do people do it when setting books as good as Eberron exist? Because they enjoy it. I think it's fun for them. I think that's the main thing. It's a creative outlet. It helps them express their creativity, do something that they feel is cool and stuff like that. I mean, your point is well taken. Eberron is amazing. I get why people do it. You know, it's a lot of fun. It's enjoyable. Do you adjust DC difficulty class based on what they are saying in role playing? Sometimes. Not always though. Usually I've kind of already decided how hard something is going to be, or how skeptical or unconvincible an NPC is going to be. I've usually already kind of decided that in my mind before they ever start role playing. But if they do something role playing that's very bad, then that will definitely influence the disposition of an NPC. For instance, today I was running my Wonder Panda campaign today, and they were talking to some Yuan T that are very serious, emotionless sorts of folks. And two of the players are kind of jokester type players. And one of them especially was being a little jokester and saying things to the Yuan T that was not making the Yuan T happy. One Yuan T just refused to talk to him anymore. And yeah, that was definitely influencing his position, because he was being his normal jokester self, but you might get away with that in some situations, but you're not going to get away with that right now with these Yuan T, dude. They're not having it. So that definitely influenced their disposition, and they probably did not accomplish as much as they could have, because he was just being a jokester in character in a situation in which it was not a good idea to do that, you know. But that was a lot of that was just as a player, he's like that, you know. What's the worst trap you've encountered? Oh, I don't know. That's like what's your favorite question? I don't know.
Do you or have you ever given magic items that further or push a player character's story forwards? Magic items? I don't think so. I don't think I have. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just don't think I've done that before. Marion says, how do you handle creating mysteries and placing clues for your players to find? Marion, I literally have a video on that. I think I did it about a year ago. There's literally an entire video on my channel about how to create mysteries and run mysteries in Dungeons and Dragons. A few quick tips are, if you're doing a sort of like mystery where they got to investigate stuff and you're going to place clues, generally speaking, you want to have a handful of scenes where they could gather clues from. And in any given scene, there are 3 clues that they might get. One of the clues is very obvious. They can't fail to get it, because when you're doing a sort of mystery thing, I personally feel that it's super unsatisfying if you just run into a dead end and you can't get any further. It's like, okay, it's a dead end. So what? The game's over? The adventure is over because we don't know where to go from there? That seems lame. You know, if the adventure fails, it should fail because they got to the end where there's some final confrontation against some monster or creature or villain, and then they lose in battle perhaps. That's at least somewhat satisfying. But to just fail because you didn't find a clue, especially if it's dependent upon a dice roll, and then just be at a dead end, that's super unsatisfying. So I usually will have a clue, at least one clue. One clue is obvious that will help push things forward. They might still have to think about it. They might still have to think, but it's still something they can find pretty easily. And then I'll usually have a couple maybe say that are more hidden, and they may or may not find them. If they find them, it might lead them to a different scene, a special scene or something where they'll get additional information or something cool that might help them along the way. So it's like, if you find that other stuff you may or may not find, you get something special or unique. But definitely place more than one clue. I would say make one obvious. The other ones can be more difficult or something. You just don't want it to end in a dead end, because it's just unsatisfying. And you're probably, if that happens, you're probably gonna give them a hint or something. You're gonna break down and give them a hint. What are you gonna do? Just end it and say, we're done. Sorry guys, you failed. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like fun. How would you do a D&D heist? I would do a D&D heist the way I run any other adventure in my game. I would design the stronghold and all of its defenses and all of its monsters and everything the same way that I would design any dungeon or any castle or anything in my game. And then I would go to my players and I'd be like, okay guys, what are you gonna do? And then they would decide what they're gonna do. They could try to do reconnaissance if they wanted to, and if so, then we would play that out. They could just go to the front door and break in, and we could play that out. They could try to sneak in and be all stealthy and stuff, and we could play that out. There's nothing demonstrably different from how I would run a D&D heist than I would run any other game, any other type of adventure in my game. You make something, and then your players decide what they're gonna do. In the case of a heist, there's something of value inside that they want to get. So it's just a matter of how they go about getting that thing. What, Squeaky? Squeaky needs attention. What setting do you wish Wizards of the Coast would put out for 5th edition as a source book? Well, they could do Forgotten Realms better to begin with, because Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide is a flaming piece of crap. But now that I've been reading Eberron, I have no particular interest in Forgotten Realms really anymore. Eberron is such a well done setting book. I don't know. I've always been interested in Dark Sun, so maybe they could do something Dark Sun-ish. I've never played Dark Sun. I don't know a whole lot about it. I've just heard things about it that seem interesting to me, and that's the only reason I say that. Players want to burn down an orphanage. Any complications you can think of? Yeah. Burn down an orphanage. The whole city wants to know what cruel, demented person burned down the orphanage. And there are any number of adventuring groups and bounty hunters and other individuals that are going to go out and hunt this sick, demented person or persons down. Like that is just like, just imagine what would happen in our real world if you had somebody, let's just pretend that somebody put a bomb in an orphanage and just blew it up. Can you imagine the overwhelming response? Like, holy crap. You know, you could, there's lots of things you could blow up, but when you start blowing up like orphans in an orphanage, you're gonna have the public outcry. It's gonna be off the rails, dude. Yeah, any number of things. You're like, if I had players that did that, they would probably, their characters would be hunted down and dead very quickly. It's like you're gonna have overwhelming amounts of folks hunting you, and you have no chance unless you just run. And then you're still gonna probably have wizards that are just gonna track you down and be like, yep, we found them, go kill them. Those heartless, bad people. Yeah. How do you feel about short and long-term madness? I haven't read them a whole lot. We kind of looked at those a little bit when we were doing our Curse of Strahd this last weekend, because we were looking for something that would be a thing that could happen when you start to go insane, because one of my players is going insane in my Curse of Strahd game. I have like an insanity system that I'm playing with that I'm kind of fleshing out. At some point I'll publish something and share it with folks. But I haven't really read them recently to really know, to be able to give you a good opinion on them. What's lawful stupid? Lawful stupid? Well, definitely not players who burn down orphanages. that's like culmination of evil, probably chaotic. I can't imagine there exists laws somewhere where it's like, thou shalt burn down the orphanage. Oh, okay, we'll just follow that rule. Clerics could augury and other spells for clues who burn the orphanage down. Mages would want to use magic to examine the scene. Adventuring companies would sign up to find them. Oh yeah, absolutely. You'd probably have adventuring companies that would do it pro bono just to be the ones that got the demented human beings. And then that fame alone would elevate them a little bit and kickstart their careers. Yeah. Yeah, and you'd probably have really high level adventuring companies that are like, dude, we don't even need the money. Do you know how broken the economy is in 5th edition? Like, we don't even need the money. We're just gonna go and track them down pro bono and just do it for free because, like, we got money. We just gonna kill them, you know? It's just a little bit of fun, and we'll feel good better about having gotten rid of these people that burned down the orphanage. Yeah. How much fun would it be to make superpowered adventurers to hunt them down? Oh yeah, it'd be awesome. What are some of your inspirations to make higher level encounters less of a slogfest? Why are they slogfests? I don't know that higher level encounters are slogfests to begin with. I don't know what makes them a slogfest. Like, what's going, I would have to see these higher level encounters that are slogfests to understand and to be able to analyze them and say why it's a slogfest. Sometimes, like, many times encounters, it really depends on your players. Like, I could play a D&D game. I could go to a D&D session where we just had dungeon crawls that were full of combats, and we're literally having combats for 4 hours straight. And I would walk away being a very happy person because I enjoy combats. I enjoy the tactical nature of it. I enjoy thinking and outmaneuvering and out strategizing, tacticizing or whatever the enemies. And I love that. It's so much fun for me, you know? So, like, even if a battle is taking a long time, that doesn't make it a slog for me unless the battle has no dynamic elements to it. So
If you simply have one big bad guy and he sits there in the middle of the room and everybody surrounds him and starts beating on him, and he beats on you and you beat on him, and he beats on you and you beat on him, and the wizard casts some spells, and then the cleric is healing, and that's all that's going on, then yeah, that's kind of sloggy, you know. But if there are minions that are doing things, you know, more come, there are environmental effects, like if you have the more dynamic things you have going on, the more interesting things become. And it becomes more of a chess game where there are lots of different things, there are lots of pieces in play that can do different things, and you have to figure out how to solve this problem, and oh no, this thing is happening now, what do we do now? You know, how do we encounter this? Oh, the enemies are moving to the mage. They're gonna get the mage, the wizard, we gotta protect him. Now I'm gonna go, you know what I mean? So when you have different things like that that are happening in an encounter, it's not a slog, it's a constantly evolving puzzle, a problem to be solved, you know, and I find that engaging. Now, if it was just like one bad guy and we're just pounding on him and that's all there is, yeah, that's lame. You know, that's I don't advocate creating encounters like that. You know what I mean? I have many videos about creating encounters, and I probably rant about single bad guys that just sit there and get surrounded and pounded many times, because that does create boring encounters. So you got to do more interesting stuff than that. Sounds like a bad marriage. It does, doesn't it? Yeah, enemies can run away. It creates a new dynamic. They can be getting reinforcements, and then the players have to go stop them from running away before they get reinforcements. Yeah, things like that. Yeah, for sure. You guys are like talking about how I don't like answering favorite questions. What's your favorite? What's your favorite? That's because there's like, what's the value? Like, what substance am I giving by telling you what my favorite monster is or something? I don't know. And most of the time when I get asked what's your favorite, I don't have a favorite. And so I can't give you anything but an empty answer. If there's actually some context to it, if there's context to the question, you know, then that's a little bit different. People value my opinion. Yeah, I get it. I need a list. Oh, I need a list so that every time somebody asks me what it is, like just create a table and roll randomly to answer your favorite questions. Oh, that's so good. I could literally have a spreadsheet that I pull up on stream and then roll on to determine the answer to those questions. Oh, do you know how that would be hilarious? It'd be like, what's your favorite monster? What's your favorite class? What's your favorite module? You know, those would be like the questions, you know. An FAQ. Watu Sao says, I recently had a TPK due to a wild magic sorcerer rolling an 8 on the wild magic table, which does something horrible, I'm presuming. I don't know what that does exactly, but a lot of people seem to really hate this subclass. What are your thoughts on it? Possible fix on it, or as is? I had a player playing wild magic sorcerer for a little bit, and what I found is we almost never got to roll on that table. I actually stacked things a little bit with his cooperation, and we came to an agreement that would make it so that he would roll on that more frequently than would otherwise happen. And it still didn't happen too often. And when it did happen, nothing horrible really happened. Sometimes some funny or hopeful things happened. So my impression of it was that it was kind of underwhelming. That's biting my leg again. It certainly didn't cause any problems in my game. It just didn't feel like it did a whole lot. Maybe that was just our luck. Maybe we just had bad die rolls and we never had to roll on the table that often. I don't know. So I don't think I really have any suggestions for it. What do you think about the upcoming changes to race from Tasha's Cauldron? Well, do we even know what they are? Like, they just keep giving us teasers, but we don't actually know what it is. Do we? I don't think we do.
According to many channels, players will be able to pick and choose traits for their class. So everything's going to become homogenous, right? So the race you choose, it depends on what you can pick and choose. Does it mean anything anymore? Does being a human or an elf or a dwarf mean anything? Does it have any bearing on the game? Is it just a word that you put on your character sheet and a description you put to your character? Like, this is what I look like, and this is what's written on my character sheet, and that's the only bearing that decision has. Everything else is completely homogenous. There's part of me that's like, that's stupid. There's the other part of me that's like, hey, that's awesome, because I can play a dwarf now as a wizard. Because I would never play a dwarven wizard before. Dwarves get a +2 to their constitution, and then a +2 to strength or something else that I can't remember. So it's like, dwarves are great fighters or great barbarians, but they're certainly not great wizards. So I would never play a dwarven wizard. I would probably play an elven wizard, would probably work pretty well. Maybe a half elf, but half elves are really good with charisma stuff. So like, the other side of me is like, the current bonuses to stats and stuff really force you, if you're a player like me that likes to min-max a little bit and choose the optimal stuff, which is kind of how I am as a player, forces me to basically, you know, take a race and only play certain classes with it. So there's part of me that's like, it would be really cool to be able to play a dwarven wizard and get a bonus to intelligence instead of strength, say. I would still want the +2 to constitution, because that's always good for a wizard. But you know, get intelligence instead. So like, I'm split. You know, there's part of me that's like, meh, everything's equal. Everything's just totally homogenous now. Nothing. So there's part of me that's like, that sounds very, I don't know, unappealing. You know, there's another part of me that's like, okay, that sounds like that could be lots of fun and create opportunities for me to do things that I otherwise would not do. So those are some of my thoughts on it. At the end of the day, it's an optional thing that dungeon masters can or cannot implement in their games. So there's not a problem with it. If you don't like it, you don't use it. It's pretty fair. Do you think they will make a 6th edition D&D? Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course they will. It's an inevitability. There will always be another edition that comes out. It is just a matter of when. It's a matter of when they project that sales will start to decline, when they project that they need to have a new edition to get things moving again, get the ball rolling again. It's just a matter of time. Where did I get this shirt? You always have awesome shirts. Well, thanks, dude. On the internet. Just go to Google and type in D&D shirts, and you're going to get a bunch of search results, and eventually you'll find ones that you like. I don't know. I got these like a while ago. It was off the internet somewhere. Do you have any advice for running a game for a 10th grader and a 7th grader? You got like a 3-year difference there, dude. You have a 3-year difference between maturity levels. And in kids, that's a huge thing. So I don't really create and run my games any differently for kids as I do for adults. The games pretty much are the same. I might give out more magic items and loot to the children because they are excited about that. But my games are pretty much the same, I feel like, when I'm running it for kids or when I'm running it for adults. I don't know, dude. I would just run my normal game, and then when I see how they react to things and the things that they like and don't like, I would adapt my game. But that's the same thing that I do for any of my games, I feel. So I don't know that I really have any, like, I don't tone things down. I'm not like nicer to them, you know, like, oh, I'm not gonna throw deadly encounters. I don't do that. I've been running a game for kids for 4 years now, 4 or 5 years, for a while. They were about 12 years old when we started, and they're all about 14 or 15 now. So like 3 years, 3 or 4 years, something like that. I don't know. I don't really do a whole lot different for them. How many, Jennifer, what's up? How many cats do you have? They look like little chunkers. They are little chunkers, and Squeaky is biting my leg right now. He wants attention. He's like right here underneath, biting. There's his tail. I have 7, and they are, 4 of them are pretty chunky. 2 of them are normal sized, and then the other one is pretty skinny. Little guy is very, very lean. He eats a lot. He's just lean. So I don't know. I gotta get more coffee. I'm gonna get some more coffee. I'm gonna leave you with Squeaky. I'm gonna get some coffee. Oh, mommy. 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 Here's mommy cat. I got mommy cat to come over. Is that mommy? He's adorable. Her tail is all cute, curls over like that. How do I make sure my players take a companion from an enemy instead of just killing it? You don't. You can't. Why do they have to take a companion from an enemy? Like, yeah, unless you build some sort of requirement in from your quest giver where it's part of the quest to get this person alive and take them back or something, then you can't. And I wouldn't suggest trying that. That feels like forcing them to do something. It feels like taking away their agency, a little bit railroady, and yeah. I mean, do I have ways that I could force them to do it? Sure, but I'm not going to share them because I don't want to encourage that sort of thing. It's like if they kill them, okay, I kill them. That's their choice. What advice do you have? Or do you have a video for on the spot thinking? Usually it's just practice, dude. How to think quickly on your feet, come up with things and improvise and stuff like that. A lot of it's practice, a lot of it's experience, and just doing it for a while. And preparation. The more you prepare something, the easier it's going to be for you to think on the spot. The more you know about your game world, the more you know about the enemies, the villains, the more you know about things, the easier it is to improvise because you prepared. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the highest level of your preparation. David Davis says, how high would you set the Arcana history check for a PC who has written their backstory inventory one of the canon books? Like, no, bullcrap. No, you don't get mechanical benefits because you put something in your backstory. That is not how it works. That is backwards. That's totally backwards. Your backstory. So you first make the character sheet. The character sheet describes your character, all right? Your backstory explains how you got to be who you are currently. All right? If your dungeon master has you roll up a level 15 magic user, then by all means, you have a high history. You're proficient in history, you're proficient in arcana. By all means, write into your backstory that you studied extensively at Candlekeep and you know a wide variety of magical things and monsters and history. because you literally you're starting at level 15 and you know a lot about those things. Write it in your backstory. When you start at level 1, you don't know about those things. Your backstory should not contain those things. Okay? Like this is something I've heard before, that it's like players think that like by putting it into their backstory, it magically gives them mechanical benefits in the game. And no, that's not how it works. You can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna write a big backstory where I'm a powerful wizard, so now I can cast high level spells. No, you're a level 1 wizard. Your backstory should explain how you became a level 1 wizard, not how you know all of the monsters from one of the core rule books. It doesn't work that way. It's totally backwards thinking. Yeah, you got a little bit of a rant there. Old Man Henderson. I don't know what that is. You guys were talking about this before, like on Wednesday, I think, on my Twitch channel. I don't know what that is. I gotta figure out what that is. Somebody's sending me messages. Shane Cowley says, I really don't like that you all meet in a bar to bring a group together. In our newest campaign, they all meet on the boat on their way to the Sword Coast. What is your best character meet? Every single group I've ever run, they've met in a tavern. I did do an entire video though about that topic of meeting in a tavern or not meeting in a tavern. So if you want my thoughts on specific details of that, you can go check that video out. But yeah, all of my groups have met in taverns. It's a trope, and it works for good reasons. There are lots of good reasons that taverns work. So you don't have to fight them if you don't want to. But in the video that I made, I broke down the reasons that taverns work and other things and events and stuff that you could use in their place that would work just as well for the same reasons that taverns work really well. Insanity system tips. My players are going to the night hells. There are some rules on madness and insanity in the Dungeon Master Guide. I would check those out. I'm still working on fleshing out my own insanity system for use in Curse of Strahd. So I don't really have anything that I'm ready to share at this point about that. Eventually I will publish it and probably make a video about it, you know, but I'm not ready for that yet. That's a good idea, Goliath Cleric. He says I asked my players during session 0 how they all met each other and what their first adventure together was. It really works well to have the group hit the ground running. That's a really good idea, dude. I like that a lot. Then you don't have to go through the whole we meet each other part of the session where they're like explaining what they look like and all of this stuff. It's like, oh, let's just play the game. You did a review on the Icewind Dale one and Mad Mage. What are your thoughts on Avernus? I haven't read through Avernus. I'm currently a player in Descent into Avernus. This kills me. I have this beautiful book sitting here. One of an amazing alternate cover. I love this alternate cover. Holy crap, it's got to be one of their better ones in my opinion. Super cool. I can't read it. It's just, I can't read it. I'm gonna ruin my game experience if I read this book. Thus far, we haven't gotten very far into the game, in all honesty, to be able to give my thoughts on it. And besides which, you can't really judge a module, even if as a player you play through the module, it would still be hard for you to give my opinion on the module itself, because ultimately I didn't run the module. I ran my dungeon master's interpretation or his version of the module, you know. And how well did my dungeon master run the module? That's part of the question, you know what I mean? So because you could have two dungeon masters running the exact same module. One of them is doing a horrible job and nobody really is having a lot of fun.
And you can have another dungeon master who's doing an amazing job and the group loves the module. So I'm running Curse of Strahd right now, and my players seem to be enjoying themselves. Nobody's quit yet, and they keep coming back, and they seem to laugh and have fun. Whereas I was a player in a game of Curse of Strahd with another dungeon master, and none of us seemed to enjoy ourselves very much at all. Exact same module, 2 different dungeon masters. So there's still always that to consider. But one day I'll have played through this, probably 20 years from now, because we play once a month and for like 3 hours. And it's slow going, man. Let me tell you. I would love to just be able to play for 6 hours and just get through stuff. You know, there seems to be a lot of combat, but I feel like the dungeon master that I'm playing with is one of those dungeon masters where if there are monsters in a room, they attack you immediately. They just immediately attack every single time. So when that's the case, there will be lots of combat. And I like combat. I don't mind the combat. I'll always love combat. All right, Dragon Spawn. See you later, buddy. Thanks for hanging with us, man. I'm a DM that likes playing as well. What should I do? Try to pretend I don't know stuff or something else? Yeah, you try not to metagame, Liam. That's exactly what you do. You like, I'm a player in Descent into Avernus, and like, there are some times that there are monsters that come up and I know exactly what they are. I know exactly what they can do. And I do my best not to metagame. That's really all you can do. Little girl's over here. Little girl! Little girl's down here. Me, little girl. I can't. She doesn't want to come on camera. She knows there's a camera. She's like right down here, but she won't come on camera. Mommy will come on camera. Mommy's adorable. Yes. What's the best way to make exposition of lore without getting boring for the players? Well, you don't do information dumps. That's the very first thing. Who's this? That's a little girl. That's a little girl? No, that's the other mommy. That's mommy too. Little girl is still off camera. Oh, there's a little girl. There she goes. Little girl. There, she's on camera. Look at her. She's adorable. You just give little bits of lore as they come up, without trying to give massive expositions, without giving information dumps. I usually try to dole out lore little by little as my players ask questions and figure things out. I have occasionally when a player has rolled on, say, demons or a particular demon, I will just open up the monster manual, find that demon, and read like some snippets from the different paragraphs there. And is it a bit of an information dump? Sure. But they rolled like a 22, so I need to give them quite a bit of information. I'm just going to open the book up and read them some stuff that I think is interesting. Alternatively, what I sometimes do is I'll say, oh, you rolled a 22. Great. You get 5 pieces of information about this monster. What would you like to know? Let's go with resistances. Okay, cool. Let's go with special abilities. Okay, cool. Let's go with like some spells they can cast. Okay, cool. So I'll do that too, you know, and have them be able to make some decisions as well. These guys are so adorable. They love each other. How do you find a balance between RP and combat? Well, combat is RP. The whole game is role playing. If you're referring to like talky bits, social interactions, I'll rewrite the question. How do you find a balance between social interactions, talky bits, and combat? I struggle with my group at times to find a happy medium. At the end of the day, you can force combat on them. You can always make there be more combat. So if there's not enough talky bits, then you can always create more opportunities for talky bits. If you have a player who constantly doesn't want to do the talky and just attacks, just shut them down and be like, dude, you're ruining people's fun. Other players want to talk a little bit, so just calm down over there. Just wait for other people to talk, and then maybe there'll be a fight, dude. I have no problem doing that sort of thing.
Is it restricting their agency? Yep, sure is. But there comes a point where players are doing things that are ruining other players' fun, and I'm going to step in. And that's the way that's going to work. If there needs to be more combat, then you just inject more combat into the game. I feel like you could do it either way, you know. I think I just answered the question. You determine what the balance is, and you add more of one or the other as needed. But also consider that your players might just like combat a lot, or they might just like social interactions a lot. But I'm also, as a dungeon master, I'm also going to make sure that I like what's going on. Like, I ran a Curse of Strahd. I was running Curse of Strahd this last weekend, and the entire game session was social interactions. The entire game session. It was like, we started at 4 o'clock, and we were coming up, we play until 9 o'clock, and we were coming up to 8 o'clock. We had played for 4 hours, and everything was social interaction. And like, I'm in my mind, I'm like, I want combat. And also I know that many of my players enjoy combat as well. And so after a very heavy social interaction game session, that last hour, I had some random combat happen. They were in the streets of Valaki, and I had a funeral procession going through. And the 2 coffins burst open and mummies came out, and they had to fight some mummies. So I just made up a little random encounter on the spot for them to fight, because we had gone through a whole game session with no combat, and I was like, I want to fight something. And so that's what we did for the last, I think it took us almost an hour to get through that combat. It's because it happens. The mummies, yeah. Were you there for that, dude? Estrogen? Big Trouble Little China? Oh, I don't remember. I mean, I've seen that movie. That's a really cool movie. It's just been so long since I've seen that. I don't know if there were mummies in it or not. That fight was fun to watch? Really? Why was that fight fun to watch? Like, what did you find entertaining about that? A couple people were spamming. Dan is like, bam, bam, that wrench, man. My mom is in the stream. This is Mom. Call me when you get done tonight, please. Thank you. Did she send me a text? She sent me a message. Dude, you guys, my mom sent me a text message, and then she came in stream and she's like, this is Mom. Call me when you get done tonight. Oh, that's hilarious, dude. Man. I don't know if you're still here, Mom. So she asked 2 questions. Did my moderators not take her questions? You guys, my mom was asking me questions. Did you not put her questions into the spreadsheet? She wants to know if I'm gonna be home tomorrow because she wants to come get the steam cleaner. Yes, I will be home tomorrow. You can come get the steam cleaner. This is hilarious. That's awesome. And my mom is here. Mom, are you still here? Well, she didn't use the right format. She probably didn't put the right format in, so you didn't see it. Yeah. Ethan, what's up, dude? Hey man, love your videos. Always seem to miss your live videos. Cool to finally chill with you. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Thanks for coming by, man. We do it. We also do it over on Twitch. Mondays and Wednesdays we're on Twitch as well. Should we all leave so you can organize your family? I think I'm good. I think we just got that finished. Don't you know a DM is supposed to live in their mom's basement? No, dude, I don't. Like, this is my basement. This is my basement, but this is my basement. I pay for this basement. Can you have blades of grass be individual mimics? A mimic is, according to the stat block, a medium creature. So I would probably say no, unless you restat it for tiny and make it weaker. And then have the planes transform back for an encounter. I mean, you could build that out, but I think you'd have to customize the stat blocks a little bit. You could have large swaths of grass be mimics. Like, the mimics could disguise them. I think it says the mimics have to disguise themselves as objects potentially, But I would have no problem with the mimics disguising themselves as like grass. I don't think that's that difficult. And they can move, so they just, I don't think that's a problem. How many killer bees can you have on a battlefield at one time as an enemy? Yeah, depends on your group, dude. Is it bad to make an encounter that is unwinnable due to mistakes the party made in the past? Like really breaking important bonds between factions? So, it is not wrong to make an encounter unwinnable. I have many times placed creatures such as a dragon turtle in a game that the players, in my opinion, had zero chance of winning against. If they had gone toe-to-toe, if my Sword Coast Guard group had gone toe-to-toe against the dragon turtle when they encountered it at level 8, I think, they would have lost. The steam breath alone, I think it hit some of them once and almost killed them immediately. So like, I placed that there, and I knew that they had no chance against it, but I put it there anyway to just see what would happen. I didn't. It wasn't like a forced encounter. They didn't have to go that way. They didn't have to defeat it. In fact, it was in a part of the dungeon that was totally optional. So if they wanted to run away and not fight it, they could have, and there would have been no problem with that whatsoever. So I put those creatures there, but I don't force the combat. That's the key. This one time too, when my players they were a Sword Coast Guard group and they were fighting against Lord Paxton, and they were opposing Lord Paxton, defeating his lieutenants, doing things, that he did not like. And so he sent his emissary, Sebastian, on the back of an ancient white dragon to meet with my players when they were like level 6, maybe? There was no way they were going to ever defeat that dragon, ever, or the emissary. So here comes the dragon, boom, lands right in front of them, and the emissary riding on the back starts to talk to them and is like, yo, you guys, like, you're opposing Lord Paxton, and that's not a good idea. I'm here to offer you a chance to cease and desist. Otherwise, fair warning, bad things are going to happen to you. And my players out of character all knew that they had zero chance against that dragon. One of them he told me later, he was like, dude, I was that close to attacking. I was that close to attacking that dragon and stuff. And he's like, even though I knew we would have all died, But my point there is that I didn't force a combat. It's a totally different thing to like put an overwhelmingly powerful enemy there, but combat's optional. You don't have to fight. It's an entirely different thing to have a party of level 4s and then an ancient black dragon comes and attacks them and just TPKs them. That's a totally different story. Totally different story. On the other hand, if you had the ancient black dragon rise up out of the swamp and ask what the heck they're doing there, and then the party has to talk to the dragon, and then they might, through diplomacy, convince the dragon to spare their lives or offer up a magic item as a bribe to be able to leave. That's a different story. Then they have an opportunity to save their skins. But if the dragon just rises up and is like, ooh, intruders, and blasts them with acid and they all die, that's just lame, in my opinion. So there's a way to implement an overwhelming enemy, and then there are ways not to. That's the answer to your question. What is something you feel needs changed in Eberron? I haven't found anything yet in Eberron that I thought, the Eberron campaign setting, that I thought needed to be changed. I haven't read the whole thing through quite yet. I'm working on it. But so far, I've not found anything where I was like, argh! Everything so far has been pretty cool. Pretty good. Which means it's pretty good. Because it didn't take me long when I was reading Icewind Dale to start finding things that upset me. Do you have any tips to avoid making a long road trip in a caravan with merchants and travelers boring at some point? Yeah. Do you know how you make a long road trip in a caravan not boring? You arrive at your destination. Boom! There you go. It took 2 seconds. You traveled from point A to point B, and you're at your destination. There you go. And then presumably something interesting is going to happen at the destination. Otherwise, why were you going there? That's how you do it. You don't describe the scenery. You don't describe the mountains. You don't describe the plains. You don't describe the river they're crossing. You don't make them role play crossing the river for 2 hours. This is not the Oregon Trail. Nobody cares about crossing the river. I hope they don't. Holy crap. It's like a horror story. I was once in a group where we literally role played crossing a river. It was like an hour or more role playing crossing a river. That group I played at that group. I have several stupid things that happened at that group that I could go into. It was horrible. It's a horrible, horrible game. Played there once. Done. One of them was role-playing crossing a river. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, Dungeon Master. Are you serious? And here's the thing. We were role-playing crossing the river, and the Dungeon Master was making a big deal out of it. He's like, how are you gonna get across the river? And then the druid's like, I'm gonna turn into a giant turtle. Okay, cool. And then, well, there are 6 of you. You can't all fit on the turtle's back. And so you're gonna have to ferry them across one at a time. And then we're like thinking, okay, how are we gonna do this? Who's gonna go first? Who's gonna wait on this side? And the whole time in my brain, I'm thinking, oh, you know what's gonna happen? They're gonna take some of the people are gonna get across the river. Some of us are gonna stay here. And then the druid, the turtle form is gonna be in the middle of taking an adventurer across. And then we're gonna get attacked in the middle of this. And so it's gonna be important who's here and who's on the druid. All of this is gonna be super important because we're gonna get attacked. And I was getting excited. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. Because I could feel that that climax, like, oh dude, something's gonna happen here. You know what I mean? This is gonna be really cool. This could be a really cool battle. No, he ferried us to the other side of the river, and that was it. That was what we role played for like an hour. And then we continued the journey. And I was like, Dungeon Master, you're an idiot. And you missed a huge opportunity to have something fun happen. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, that's how you make travel not boring. Just have people get there, unless you have something interesting happen along the way. And by definition, if something interesting happens, it's not boring. I generally, when people are traveling from point A to point B, I'll generally have one random encounter happen, which isn't random. I always prepare them. And then they arrive. Because most of the time, the interesting things happen in locations, and the travel time in between is not fun or purposeful. It's just in between time. So let's just hand wave it. It's like, if anybody's played World of Warcraft, do you guys know how when you were on that like flying griffin and it was taking you somewhere, it was like traveling you across the world to get to a location? Do you know how you had to literally sit there and watch the griffin fly for like sometimes 5 minutes or longer to get somewhere? You're just waiting there for it to fly, and it's like, this is dumb. There's a reason that games like Skyrim and what is it? Not Eberron. Skyrim and those have fast travel. You know, because going on a silt rider in Morrowind and just riding the silt rider, you know, if you had to ride the silt rider and you just sat there for 5 minutes watching it travel until it got to somewhere, you'd be like, dude, really? This is boring, man. Just get me to my location. You love the flight in WoW? Really? But you're not doing anything. You can't do anything. You're just locked in and flying. I mean, it was cool the first couple times, but unless you enjoyed the aerial view, maybe you found enjoyable looking down at the land below and stuff. I can see that. But just when it was the fast travel, it was just like, what's the point? Oh, you could see the scenery? Yeah, I get that. I think that's cool. If you're looking at the scenery and stuff, yeah. If that's enjoyable for you, yeah. I was always like, dude, I want to get to the adventure. You know. Oh man, it's 8 o'clock. All right, ladies and gentlemen. You can't fast travel when enemies are nearby. Yes, totally. All right, this is what we're doing right now. I didn't get to all your questions. I do apologize. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Mondays and Wednesdays are over on Twitch, so I'll always answer more questions over there. Feel free to come by. Link to my Twitch channel right there. Thank you, Dan Bear. Appreciate that. What we're going to do right now is we're all going to head over to Twitch, and we are going to create some D&D traps together. So you just put the link to my Twitch channel. You guys head on over there, and I'm going to stop the stream here, obviously. And then I'm going to reconfigure a couple things on my end, and we're going to start the stream up over on Twitch, and then we're going to create some D&D traps together. So sorry if I didn't get to your question. Come swing by a Twitch stream next week, and we will finish those up. But tonight, we were on to traps. So thanks for hanging out, and I will see you over on Twitch. And I'm going to stop streaming now. So, bye-bye, everybody.